Back again in the building. This is a different one here. It's going to hit different, I'm telling you. From overwhelm to organize, how OCD Financial makes money management click. You like that?
I do.
I like that. Yeah.
It does.
Welcome to Catch the Vision podcast, where we connect the visionaries, innovators, and change makers who are building something that matters. Today's guest is a financial lifestyle strategist. I like that. Financial lifestyle strategist. Yeah, I like that. And the driving force behind OCD Financial, a Kansas City-based firm helping individuals and small business owners move from financially stressed to financially confident. Okay. All right. Known for breaking down bookkeeping and finances so clearly, and I want you to hear this, that even a fourth grader and a fifth grader can understand if they've made it their vision to remove the fear and confusion around money. So from tax preparations to setting up accounting systems and QuickBooks Online to teaching financial fundamentals, every entrepreneur should know OCD Financial blends expertise with talent for making the complex simple. In this conversation, we're going to dive into inspiration behind the brand, the challenges of building a business, and client success stories that prove financial clarity is within reach for everyone. So, let me present to some and introduce to others. Ms. Rhonda Hall with OCD Financials. I'm glad to have you traveled from Missouri to...
And that is right.
Yeah.
500 miles.
Wow. This podcast got to be real serious, huh?
It does. It does. It's always worth it, though.
Rhonda, let me ask you this question. What really inspired you to start OCD Financials and become a financial, lifestyle strategist?
Well, what motivated me was a number of things. First and foremost, it was a very transitional time in my life. Had just dealt with some personal trauma. And so, which was merely just my husband had passed. And it was a change in life direction. So after being in corporate America for 18 years, I realized I wanted to live with more purpose and do something that I really preferred to do, something that was at the heart of me versus just getting up and punching a time clock every day.
So, and if you don't want to disclose, that's fine. I totally get it. You lost your husband. Was it like from natural causes or?
My husband passed from a cancer called liposarcoma.
Okay. I understand about that cancer. My son passed away with liver cancer in 2018. He was 26. So trust me, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that was. So we had dealt with that for quite some time. And then my children were young. My son was 9 and my daughter was 4. And that was a huge motivation behind me doing something different as far as work is concerned, because you take a different perspective, when you lose someone close. And so that was one of the huge motivations behind me starting my own business.
Now, when it comes to talking about financial statements and bookkeeping and things of that nature, a lot of times, and I can only speak for our culture. I can't speak for nobody else's culture, but it tends to be intimidating. And a lot of times, if we're already intimidated, right, it's hard for us to go and talk with someone like an accountant,
Right.
A CPA, a tax expert, unless we get a letter from from 3 words or 3 letters.
Right.
IRS,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
And now we're ready to talk but we still not ready to talk. But we don't have no choice at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's it that you're able to make it to where people feel like they really understand bookkeeping, even though we don't, because you break it down to where a third, fourth, and fifth grader can understand. So where did that gift come from?
Well, of course, I know that the gift is divinely placed within me, in addition to some past experiences that really cultivated it.
No, because I'm a great listener, and I always like to catch things that kind of go through real fast, and I have to really back. And when you say past experience, and again, if you don't want to share, it's fine. Oh, yeah. But I always say, people, they see our glory, but they never know the story, right?
That's right.
So what was like the past, what was you experiencing to have this past experience?
Yep, I am. And I am, I think one of the things that, or I know one of the things that I do when I'm interacting with my clients or teaching a class is I'm very transparent. Mm-hmm. So there's generally not a time that I will not share with them my experiences or share my experience with people or tell my story for that matter. So when I refer to past experience, it's more so childhood, upbringing, things of that nature in which we experience, very, very hard, hardship in those very critical years. In which a young girl or a teenager is molded when it comes to financial and your perspective around finances and what I saw. And so I knew that I had one goal by the time I graduated from high school, and that was to never have my utilities cut off. That was all I knew. So you had
some of those type of experiences.
Yes.
So Rhonda, let me you mind if I just kind of know where you're coming from?
That's cool.
And so when I was growing up as a kid, my mom, because she couldn't order those Ellery Queens and Alfred Hitchcock books, and those, was it 10 CDs for a penny or something like that? I started getting stuff in my name. I'm like, Mom, I didn't. Boy, give me that darn.
Right.
Putting the utilities in our name, right? I'm like, I'm not even old enough to have a bill.
Right.
Give me that bill.
So you
know.
And so those were just that's just a small part, some of the financial hardship. And so what makes it easier for me to relate to my clients and to be able to even teach around financial literacy is that I'm not just a face. I've been there, done that.
So you're teaching from experience.
Oh yeah. Okay. And even beyond getting older, still making mistakes of my own in finance.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you real transparent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you know what? And I know I like interject, but when you say stuff like that, it brings me back to mind. I had a CPA, right?
Yes.
Brilliant with people's information, but lacked in his own.
Wow. That's contradictory, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if it's contradictory or if he was so involved in everybody else's stuff that he didn't even take care of his own stuff. I don't know, but I've seen it like several times.
I say contradictory. It's one thing, you might see a hairstylist who's too busy doing everybody else's hair to do their own. But to me, finance is a different situation. Okay. That's an area or a field in which you need to practice what you preach. Oh. And so that is the message that I relay with my clients. And I tell them just that is that what I am teaching and sharing with them is not necessarily book information. It's something that I have experienced, and it is something that I use for myself. So when I teach my clients financial literacy and I use the system and the processes that I educate them on, it is the same systems and processes that I use myself. Okay. So when they look at me, by the grace of God, I am I'm inspired, or I should say I'm encouraged by the fact that people are inspired by me, but I need them to know that they can do it. And what they're seeing is living proof of the same system and the same process. I wouldn't tell them to do anything that I don't do myself.
So when you initially started your business, like, did you experience any challenges, any hurdles, or you just, it was a cakewalk?
So, I wouldn't say it was a cakewalk, but as far as the financial piece and some of the things that I believe that most businesses struggle with, I didn't have that struggle just because finances and money and math are my thing. That's my passion. I eat, sleep, and breathe numbers. Okay. It's fun to me. I teach my class with a smile on my face and with the hope that when my class leaves, they feel the same way. The light bulbs go off and they're excited, or they feel like, wow, that was not so bad. You walked in here with fear of money, but you left like, I'm ready to tackle that thing
with confidence.
That's right. Yeah. And so, so my challenges did not come in that area. I feel like my challenges were already existent with the transition of the new norm in my life. So me starting a business, my challenge starting a business was the fact that I had just become a solo parent. Not just a single parent, that's accounting, filing status talk, but not just a single parent, but a solo parent, which means that, your children's other parent is not able to help. They are no longer here. So I went from a 2-parent household with my children and having help with everything to now having to do everything on my own, including start the business and try to balance starting a business with 2 small minor children and trying to find the time to do all of that and heal and grieve and take care of myself at the same time. So that was my biggest challenge. It wasn't the business. It was more so the balance of all of that so that I could be successful and not quit at the business early because of the personal things that I was dealing with.
So let me ask you this question. When we were kids, we're taught, simple math, adding and subtraction, right? But as we become adults and we think about our cash flow and knowing that we need the assistance, right? Why is the terminology, when it's being explained to us, not like it should be explained to us when we were kids? And I always say, the best communicators are the ones who can, if a kid can understand what you're saying, there's no worries if an adult can understand. But why is accounting, bookkeeping not explained in a terminology that is that we can comprehend?
So why I know that my method is unique is because certain accounting terminology that you would normally hear just straight out of a textbook is not the same terminology that I use. Now, I allude to that, but I am a definition speaker per se, is how I kind of think of it. So
break that down. You say definition speaker.
So when I am teaching, I'm not teaching with just these high level words that the student has to turn around and try to figure out what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Versus when I am teaching, I'm teaching it at a level that is breaking down the word into its definition.
Okay, so let's stop for a second. Let's pretend that I'm at your workshop, right? Now, I want you to communicate like most tax professionals talk, and then I want to hear you to where I understand exactly what you're saying. So give me that example.
Okay. So, so one of the examples that I start out with right out the gate is explaining the why behind why you are doing bookkeeping and why accounting is important in business. So I start with explaining to the business owner why you're even having to do it, which I have a whole nother belief system on knowing the why and how what you do feeds into what other people need. Okay. However, I start out with the analogy of sharing that everybody is a CEO and a business owner before you start your business. You are a CEO and a business owner of your house. Everybody's a CEO, because what you keep track of in your business is the same data you have to keep track of in your house. It's just one step further in business. So I start by asking everyone in the room, have they ever used a little white register book with their checkbook? Have you ever used the white register book before we had online banking, where you could just call up and check your balance? Okay. If you use the white register book, you were already tracking the date, the name, and the amount of money that you spent in your house in order to keep track of your balance running on the far right column. The difference between that and business is you still do the same thing. It's just that the IRS requires you to take one more step, and that is to add a category to it. And to not only say when, who, and how much, you have to now keep track of when, who, how much, and why. The why is the category.
So that's the piece that we are constantly missing.
Yes, that's the connection. And it's just that simple. I did not use any high level terms. I just gave you.
You didn't say debits or credits.
I didn't say debits or credit. What I did was I gave you an analogy as an adult that you would understand as an adult, so that you can compare. And now when you see it, you can relate it to something else. And that's the thing in teaching adults, is adults already have certain mechanisms and thought processes. But if I can give you an analogy where you can relate to it, then you can understand it better.
You know,
and the why, to help you know why you should change the way that you've always been doing it. Because adults are generally, we already have our way of doing things. We already have our way that we believe things, how we've been taught. And so the only way to change an adult and transform your thinking is to share with you the why behind it, why you need to change, help you relate to it. And if you can relate, you can see the difference, and then tell you the benefit and how it's going to help you if you change and now do this way. So
if I'm understanding you correctly, why can be applicable in all areas of our life, right?
Oh, for sure.
So, because I've heard speakers say, you know, here's how I'll just use myself as an example. I'll say, here's how you perfect your elevator pitch. And I'll give the example, and then I'll say, but here's why. So what you're saying is the why is what activate us to get it right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What misconceptions do we have when it comes to finances, bookkeeping, tax preparation?
Whole bunch around taxes, right?
Earn credit. I'm claiming some kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't do that.
Yes and no. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes and no.
Okay.
When it comes to taxes, again, it's, to me, it's a basic understanding. I think that the misconception around taxes, it just comes with a negative connotation. Okay. Because it just hasn't been explained. So I often give that analogy as well. Okay. Saying that a lot of times taxpayers will go into maybe a franchise tax preparation place, and they drop off their paperwork, or they sit with someone quickly.
You mean those tax places around the block?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Little green square.
The
ones with the ones on the corner waving at you and whatnot, and the Statue of Liberty and all that old stuff. But I'm just saying. Saying.
In general. Yeah.
But the thing is, the fear of money, the fear of owing, the lack of knowledge will lead you into a place like that, where someone will prepare your taxes for you really quickly. And then I say the taxpayer then turns around, crosses their fingers, walks out, and just hopes not to owe. Because they really don't understand the concept of how to help themselves not to owe. So they just go in there hoping they don't owe. They don't know if they could have got more, if the person did it correctly. all they're hoping for is that they didn't owe. And so my approach is to make sure that my clients know why. There's the why again. Why I'm asking them for what I'm asking them. If they owe, I want them to know why you owe. And then I'm going to tell you how we need to fix it so that next year we don't have this problem again. And that's exactly what I tell them all the time. I say, if you come to me and you owe the first year, I'm going to tell you why you owe. And then I'm going to tell you what to do to fix it. And then we won't have this problem next year, because I don't even like telling you that you owe.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
So this is important. While you was talking, this came to my mind, because a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, hustlers, their form of payment is Cash App, Venmo, all Zelle.
Yeah.
Can you run a business like that? I mean, maybe you can. I don't know. And if that's the case, when it's time to, walk into a banking institution where you need more cash to scale up, like, what does that look like?
So that answer is kind of two-part. Yes, you can run a business taking multiple payment methods. Now, do I recommend it as an accountant? No, because then you have multiple POS systems or payment methods or reporting that you have to pull together in order to get your final numbers. So what I recommend to my clients is to try to reduce it to a small number of payment methods, and then stick with that as far as what you take from your customers, or to just have an accounting system to where when you take payments, it's the same way all the time, and you only have one resource that you need to use to tally all of your payments coming in.
Okay.
So that's kind of a loaded question, but yes, you can do it.
Really?
Yeah, you can do that. I don't recommend you offering Cash App and Zelle and all of that. Cash App.
Well, let me ask you this, Rhonda. If that's the case, how can because a lot of people, when they open up their account, it's not even a business account, it's a personal account. So if you have a business account, you're saying to me, or are you saying that you can run those entities into a business account?
Oh, of course.
Really?
Yes, you can have a Cash App. Now, there's been changes in the Cash App, the way Cash App tracks and regulates. Now, if you had a personal Cash App that you were doing business through before, now you're going to get a notification where Cash App is like, hey, I noticed you're getting a whole bunch of revenue through here. It don't look normal. We need you to open a business Cash App.
So Cash App been hit by the, the FDC?
Cash App has realized, just like the Cash App and Venmos and the other ones, they have all realized that people are using those methods as payment systems
to not track, or I guess not to report taxes and stuff.
That is right. So then that's where you start getting the notification where they were like, well, if you get over $600, we're going to start sending you a 1099-K to show and to tell the IRS you're collecting more than $600 through this avenue.
So they must have got
they got hip to it. Yeah.
Okay.
But if the question is just merely, can you run a business and use those different avenues, those different merchants is what we call them, those merchant providers, as can you run a business using multiple ones? Yes, you can, because they are going to dump into your bank account now. But is that the most effective and efficient way?
Probably not.
To take your payments through all these different merchants? Right. No, it's not. Right. No, it's not.
Right. I agree with that, because at the end of the day, a confused mind will always say no.
Yeah, and it's too jumbled.
Yeah.
Where Cash App doesn't provide the same resources that you can get from other systems, like a Square. Square is a good POS.
Yeah.
Where you can go
Stripe.
behind the scenes, Stripe, and see that. You can't get that same printout. You can't do anything but get a PDF printout out of Cash App. Right. It's in the details, but the important stuff is in the details. And so no, it's not recommended, although you can.
Okay. What does OCD stand for? Is it like when everything got to be neat and tidy, or I mean, where did you get the name?
So it's a two-parter. So yeah, it does. Generally, OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder,
Really?
which is a disorder that, one of the many mental health disorders. However, my OCD stands for obedience, character, and discipline, which are the three principles that I believe that it takes to have financial freedom. And so you can take those three principles and apply them to any area of your life, really. But in the financial world, obedience is about being obedient with your finances. And because the business was divinely named, obedience has everything to do with Deuteronomy 28, where it talks about receiving the blessings of the Lord, but also God requiring us to be obedient. And so first and foremost, the most important thing in our life is to be obedient, which is also tied to the logo. The logo looks like a bullseye. And it's because my desire and my level of obedience is not to be outside anywhere of the will of God. For my life, I want to be center bullseye, smack dab in the middle of the will of God, not to the left, not to the right. And so being obedient in my life, I want to do only and all what God has asked or required of me. So that is the obedience part. And then the C is for character, which is about your financial character and your credit report, right? And being, having good financial character around paying back your debts and how you were seen on your credit financial report as far as paying your bills back, those sort of things. And then the D is about being disciplined. You can have all those other things, but if you don't have discipline in your life, and a way to keep yourself consistent and structured, the discipline is around budgeting, because everybody needs a budget, which kind of goes back to that whole misconception thing. So many people feel like they don't need a budget. Everybody needs a budget. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how much little money you make. Budgeting is about managing your money, and a budget is having vision for your money. Looking at your bank statement, looking at what you spent, that's not a vision. The word says, write the vision, make it plain. And so many times we will have write a vision board at the beginning of the year, or you'll write goals for your life. But a budget is when you sit down and you write a vision for your money, not where your money has been, but where you plan for your money to go. And that's being disciplined, deciphering the difference between your needs and your wants, and being able to say no to yourself when you don't need something, or maybe it's a want, or to reach those goals, and not trying to be out here like the Joneses.
Who's
the Joneses? Yeah, it's them Joneses, the ones out here living above and beyond their means.
Okay. All right.
So that's where discipline comes in. So the OCD is obedience, character, and discipline.
Do you have a story of someone that you changed their lives?
I would almost say, glory to God, I have multiple people. And actually that's where I get my satisfaction. And
give me a success story of just one person that really sticks to mind.
Yep. I had a client who, for one, I always try to make my environment when I'm working with my clients a very trusting environment, and a very non-judgmental environment. And that's what I tell them all the time, especially when they come to me, not just from a business standpoint, but a personal standpoint. Because a lot of people don't want to talk to people about their finances because it's trust issues, things of that nature. And so I create an environment where I'm like, hey, I need you to lay it on the table. And then that's where that statement comes in. Hey, there's nothing you can share with me that I haven't either heard before or I've seen before, I've experienced myself. So I had a client who, I say all that to say, when you look at her from the outside, even to me, she looked like she had it all together. And so she is a business owner. And so we got all of her business stuff straight. And I could not believe that some of the things that she just wasn't aware of. And so the more we met, the more comfortable she felt. Then she started sharing with me about her own testimony in her marriage and things of that nature, and where finances came to play, and how she kind of explained herself like she literally just didn't know too much of anything because her husband had always handled the finances.
Took care of everything.
Yes. Yeah. And to sit on, we were on a Zoom at the time, but for her, of what my image and perspective of her before that day, for her to literally finally just let it all go. She sat there and bawled on our meeting and told me how much she shared with me, how much I had helped her. And those are the things that that mean the most to me, is to know that I am being impactful and I am working in my purpose. And so just the things that I was able to just share with her on personal business and work with her and bring her to a place where she is not just surviving, she is thriving now. I know it was a life-changing moment for her because those words came out of her mouth.
Should, if a couple is married, should they only have one bank account together, or should they have separate bank accounts?
My opinion and my belief.
Okay.
Is, well, let me say, it's not just one bank account, right? Because the process that I teach involves at least always having 3.
Okay.
Every household should have at least 3 bank accounts. Okay. However, when you talk about a union, what I believe is that those 3 bank accounts should be shared. That is what I believe. Now, I know that there are coupled households where they keep everything separate. They do things different. Maybe there's some trust issues there. I've run into that. So I have consulted, done financial consulting with married couples before, where I saw that, where the wife came in, she had a small child, she got married, she wasn't comfortable because she had made a vow to herself to never let her partner leave her and her child hanging. Okay. So those are the sort of things that I have where they have to kind of work on, inside of their own marriage, those trust things, bringing them together around money. And she was like, no, I will not do that again. In addition to another couple that came in with kind of same type of financial challenges. That was another time that touched my heart, where it was just supposed to be working with them on creating a budget together. But before the consultation was over, it felt more like a therapy session because they were both sitting there crying. And so that too confirms, and that's I like to sometimes even call my business a ministry, because it's half business and half ministry. Because I'm able to minister to them through their finances. And so yes, I believe it should be shared. I have a system and a process that helps couples share those bank accounts, and it makes them both accountable to checking them. And it builds trust to me. It builds trust between the two of them. And I have seen that. I've seen confirmation of that before.
What percentage of financial literacy do you think schools should be teaching? And have you ever went into school systems to teach the kids?
So not actually into like our school district. I have had some one-off where I have taught youth inside of the church group. Or ironically, about a month ago, I was invited to come to speak to some elementary students. And so I use the same approach, OCD, and just change the verbiage to be on their level. It was literally a bunch of first and second graders in there. But when I talked about obedience, I related it to being obedient to your parents, doing what your parents say. Character. If you found $1 on the floor and you know it wasn't yours, what are you going to do with the $1?
Put it in my pocket. I mean,
yeah,
give it.
But that was part of the lesson.
Dollar?
That's right. Whose dollar? That's right.
Going once,
that's right.
Going twice. It's mine
It's
now.
mine now.
Yeah.
So just being able to translate OCD and writing on the board the O, and they yelled out the letters and the D and the discipline.
So it was connecting with you.
Yes, even for the youth. So it can still be taught at that level. It can be taught at the adult level. And then first and foremost, just starting to teach the youth in my own household.
Okay.
And so, so teaching the method of OCD to my son and my daughter, they have heard that so much in their whole little lifetime now, the last, 11 years per se. But teaching them that, teaching my now adult son, who is now 22, recently graduated from college, got his first full-time offer. He's a 5th grade teacher. First day of school was last week.
Okay.
But allowing him to now, he's a whole adult doing his own thing. He decided to stay out where he graduated from in South Carolina, but sitting down with him and creating a budget for him when he was deciding whether he was going to come back home or if he was ready to do some adulting. Okay. And so it was kind of bittersweet because I kind of wanted him to come back home, but at the same time, I showed him through budgeting that you can do this.
Okay.
And so teaching the youth outside, but also teaching the youth right there under my own roof and making sure they get it.
What legacy you want to leave behind?
That's one of them right there. The legacy of financial, effective, successful financial mentality. I want to, and I believe that I have changed, or I shouldn't say even change. I wanted to create a legacy where my children did not see what I saw. They did not experience what I experienced financially growing up. They have no clue what it feels like. Now, I've shared a story here or there, but they've never felt that or seen that. And why that's a success for me is because if all they have seen is what they have seen from me and what I've been able to teach them, that's all they're going to know to turn around and teach their next generations and their next generations. Because a lot of times our financial habits are created based on the generation before us and the habits we saw from our parents.
Right.
Oh, I'll pay that light bill later on. It'll be there. Oh, I pay my car. Oh, it's okay. I'm late. It don't matter. I'm going to go out and buy this first before I pay my bills. And then people incorporate those same habits into their life because they thought it was okay because they saw somebody do that. Well, I feel that I have done what my heart's desire was, and that was so that my legacy and my children don't see that kind of behavior. Right. So they never think that that's okay. They only see what's right. And now they only know what to teach what's right after that.
From overwhelm to organize. Again, how OCD Financial makes money management click. Did you catch the vision? Catch the vision, catch the vision, catch the vision. All right, it's a wrap.